All right, guys, welcome. First off, I want to say thank you for viewing this video. Today I'm sharing something I'm really excited about. This is our Google Ads audit template. We use this as ad grease all the time in order to make sure that our accounts are looking beautiful and everything is just set up correctly. Today I'm sharing this. I'm going to walk you through, guys, and just find out what the things are you should be looking at and the things that you can optimize. Let's just dive in. Really excited about this. Let's just go. I'm gonna run you through all the topics we have here. I'm gonna give you guys some context on how to use this file. I can imagine it's pretty overwhelming. We have lots of things in here. I'm just gonna kick this off. If you have any questions, any comments whatsoever, just reach out, comment to me, DM me, or LinkedIn, or whatever works for you guys. Okay, first off, I have this general, like, hey, you really need to get your goals clear. What are you looking for with Google Ads? Are you looking for extra conversions, revenue, ROAS targets, CPA targets, you name it? Just state your goals here. It really helps you in finding the right things in the account and making sure that you're set up for success. First off, we're looking at the account settings. Just some general account things like are there any crazy notifications? For example, should you verify within now and let's say a few weeks? Also check the recommendations. Sometimes there's some really useful stuff in here. I think missing extensions, ad groups without ads can be like a number of things. This is really something you should do. I preferably turn them all off. Some of them can be useful, something for you guys to decide for yourself. Check the payment methods. Secondary payment methods, really helpful. If your primary payment method fails, your account can stop serving ads. Check the content suitability settings. Just make sure you're serving on the right channels. For example, you can exclude apps, park domains, content for families. YouTube channels for kids, for example. You also want to use auto tagging. Just make sure that's set up correctly, unless you're using some sort of a custom tagging solution, of course. Check your linked accounts, make sure J4 is linked, Google Merchant Center, that you just have all the correct things linked to each other. Check the policy manager. Sometimes you can get some disapprovals. We also have scripts and rules that check it, but the policy manager can come in really helpful as well. Do you see any weird things in the change history? You can find this in the account settings, but it's just like a general accounting. You want to look at how you're looking for strange changes in bid strategies, really huge changes that have like an impact. Make sure that you know what's happening in your account. Also, something that's very often overlooked is the access levels. Sometimes companies switch agencies and those agencies still have access to the account a few years later. We really see this a lot. Make sure the right people have access to your data. Then we just covered some general things. Let's look at the account structure for now, guys. Does it help you in achieving your goals? Kind of a broad question, of course, but just make sure that every campaign has like a clear and specific goal that it's optimizing towards. For example, if you have all sorts of different ROAS targets or different bid strategies in your account, it can really be a pain in optimizing. Also, I stated here, like, do you have some? Oh wait, discovery is already phased out, of course. Do you have all the campaigns that you can run in your account? Do you have like the right channels you're optimizing towards? Just review every once in a while, let's say every 3 months. Hey, can I add something here? Can we experiment maybe with another channel, another campaign type? Always useful to experiment with this. Lastly, very important one, make sure your campaigns have enough data. When you're using smart bidding, I like to have like at least 30 monthly conversions when we use a target ROAS bid strategy. For a target CPA, might be a bit less. Just make sure you have enough conversions in the account here. If you don't have enough conversions per campaign per month, you can consider consolidating some campaigns if they have the same target, of course. For example, if you have like 3 campaigns, each of them with 10 conversions, and they're going for the same ROAS target, you might want to consolidate that. At least it's worth experimenting with. Then moving over to the campaign settings, there are some things you should definitely check here. So make sure all the right campaigns are paused. Sometimes we see campaigns that are paused without any specific reason. Make sure that the right campaigns are on. For the settings part, we see this often. Campaigns serving in other countries. Make sure your location settings are set to presence only, unless you have a very good reason to do so. We see that in high volume accounts, lots of conversions moving through those campaigns. It can work to set it to don't set it on presence only. This is something you might wanna check here. You can create a report to check it. We'll move on to that in a bit. You have like the right languages targeted. Something you can also check. Do you need like a max CPC in your bid strategy? You can check your search terms, see if they have like huge outliers in CPC. If so, check the performance for those high CPC queries. You might want to use a portfolio bid strategy with a max CPC to make sure that everything is going okay. No crazy CPCs. I'll make a specific video on this about it as well. Check all your bid modifiers, see what was changed, see how your bids are set up, see if everything makes sense. We have like the audiences added. We always add all the audiences to a campaign, to at least capture those insights. Pretty. For network, this is obvious, but you can spend a lot on search partners or maybe even on a display network without you actually realizing it. Something you should definitely check every once in a while. Check the conversion settings per campaign. Are you steering towards the right conversions? Make sure to double check. We mostly use this on an account level unless you have a very good reason not to do so. This is like more general one. Just segment your campaigns. Use the segment option, and you're looking for any strange outliers here. For example, huge spend on a certain network without the results, or maybe a certain device type is underperforming or overperforming. Those are definitely good insights to have. I have like 2 reports here. I'll create videos on them as well. You can create a report for all your PMAX placements, so you can see where your PMAX is serving. Also have scripts. I'll move on to that in a bit. Also use this location report, guys. This is really helpful, and this can also this also works for the point we just covered regarding your target locations. I was just looking for this one. Make sure you're spending in the right countries, in the right regions. You really don't want to waste money on any underperforming locations. Then the measurement part. This is arguably the most important part, guys, of your account. As you can also see, I set this to a high priority. Difficulty is medium, and I definitely understand that difficulty kind of differs per person. I love diving into measurement stuff, so I just set everything to medium here. You might want to have constant mode, definitely when you're in the European Union, as you should have this, as you really need to have this. It's mandatory. So I split this up by all the Google Analytics thing. I also make a video about this. We also have like a separate checklist for you guys as well. Just make sure that you have like the GA4 tag, so you can measure your conversions. Make sure to set it secondary as well. Then you can compare your Google Ads tag with your GA4 tag. Measure those e-commerce values as well. Measure the important events, add to carts, all that stuff, all the important events you might want to measure. Begin checkout, just all the e-commerce events. Make sure they also have the right values attached to it. And with the right values, I mean, decide on if you want to include or exclude VAT, if you want to include, exclude shipping, whatever. There are like numerous options there. Just make sure that the revenue you're measuring is actual revenue. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm taking a sip of water. Also, guys, just create your audiences in GA4 as well. You can also create them in Google Ads yourself. I just like to I like to use both options actually. Create your audiences in GA4 and also then send them to Google Ads. For the referral exclusion part, it's kind of a technical thing, but you really want to check your referral channel in GA4. Sometimes payment providers really get attributed lots of revenue. Well, that's of course nonsense. I'll create a video on that as well. And just make sure to use the Google Ads tag. This is really important. The GA4 tag really doesn't show you everything. The Google Ads tag really allows you to optimize your tracking more. More on that in a bit. Correct values. So I just set this for the Google Analytics. Also, of course, make sure you're using the correct values in your Google Ads tag as well. Also, you really want to have your correct conversion actions on primary. Just review this every once in a while. How often it happens, guys, it's shocking. Get those add to carts on primary, for example. Make sure your campaigns are optimizing for what you find valuable. Use enhanced conversions. There are some privacy regulations here and there. It really depends on you and the region that you're in. But this is about passing on the email address and other data to Google Ads so they can link more conversions back to your account. So here for the GA4 conversions, just import them and use them as secondary if you're using the Google Ads tag on primary, so that you can always compare. Use data-driven attribution. Sorry, this is mostly on by default. Check your conversion window settings as well. Just make sure everything is set up for success. For example, if like a long conversion window, let's say people click on your ad and then buy from you a month later, make sure to set that conversion window to a relatively long period. This is something you should check every once in a while. Just check the diagnostics in your conversion tracking in Google Ads. It shows you where the errors are and where you can improve. Your remarketing tag should also be set up and collecting data, and you should also have the dynamic remarketing set up correctly. I have a link for you here. I'm not going to run through this in this video, but this will show you how to set it up and how you can troubleshoot it as well. Do you need offline conversion tracking? Sometimes for lead gen, you might want to use this. Just consider. And if you're using this, make sure you're passing on actual values. This is really important, guys. You should really know this. You should really dive deep into the measurement part and make sure you're measuring the right stuff. Tag management, of course, pretty related to the measurement part. I really prefer using Google Tag Manager. It makes your life easier. It really helps you troubleshoot and finding those bottlenecks for your measurement. Use the conversion linker. That's first-party cookie that captures the Google Click ID. Technical stuff, but you need it for your measurement to work. You also want to add a transaction ID every time a transaction takes place. There's a unique ID provided, and if you pass it on to the tag, that will make sure your conversions aren't duplicated, so you don't count any double conversions. And also consider if you need any other options like new versus returning customers, if you need that cart data, what people are actually buying, and consider setting up server-side tracking. Also makes your life easier and your tracking a bit more accurate. I linked an article here about how to set it up. Make sure to review this, guys. It's really helpful information. So that was the measurement part. In short, so now moving on to Google Merchant Center. If you're running Google Shopping, so I added some checks here. I also create like a separate video on how to really audit your Google Merchant Center account and make sure you're set up for success. Link your Google Ads account, very obvious. Are the right programs enabled. This is for the old version of Google Merchant Center. Make sure to enable those right programs. If you're in the European Union, consider using a CSS partner for actual increase of buying power in the auction, you can really optimize here. Are your automatics alerts set up? This is also for the older version that like considers getting emails from Google Merchant Center whenever something is down. Do you have like product issues? Do you have account issues, feed issues? Check this regularly, guys. It really shows you which products are disapproved and where you can improve. Really check this vigorously. Also, product protection is a feature that will send you an email when a certain amount of product was removed from your feed. Sometimes errors happen with feeds. It can get pretty technical. You really don't want any issues there. It can definitely harm your performance. You can use promotions as well. I just created a separate video on this. It's on my YouTube channel. And you can use this if you have like a certain discount enabled in your checkout. So for example, when you're working with a coupon, instead of that you dropped all your prices, something you can use. You have product ratings enabled. There are lots of add-ons set it here as well that you can use, and that will show your reviews in Google Shopping on a product level. Very useful. Is your feed schedule correct? Is your feed being fetched daily? Preferably it should, unless you have like a good reason not to do so. And also make sure that it aligns with the time on the day that your feed is created. So if your system creates a feed, make sure to fetch it right after. Do you have like any additional feeds? Sometimes advertisers push additional data to Google Merchant Center. Think, for example, margin data. If you have an additional feed, double check it every once in a while. And also check your auto tagging. Shipping and returns, really important one for your Google Merchant Center as well. Make sure to set it up correctly. It really helps customers seeing if they should have to pay any shipping, for example. If you have like free shipping, it might also show in your shopping ad, so that can help boost CTR. Which improvements can you do on the store quality? You can review this in the store quality part in Google Merchant Center. Make sure you have high quality images, you have your shipping set up. It's like a summary of points that you can improve. That was Google Merchant Center in short. There are some additional things you can check, but I just wanted to keep this like brief and useful for you guys. These are like the most important things. Also for the product feed, so the file you're sending to Google Merchant Center, there are some questions here like, hey, are all products in here? If so, why? If not, then why not? We have like all the relevant fields set up, and I have all of this like in a separate file for you guys. So this file will show you all the fields that are required and which fields are optional, and what you should set in those fields. Just perform that feed audit every once in a while. Inventory changes, businesses change. You really want to know what's happening in your product feed. Product feed optimization, super useful. Then moving on to the bidding and the budgets part. Just make sure your campaigns are optimizing for the right targets. It really sounds like a thing that should always be okay, but sometimes it's just really worth reviewing. Make sure your strategies are in line with what you want Google to achieve for you. For example, if you want like a certain ROAS, make sure your accounts are steering for that ROAS. Does it make sense for you to use portfolio bid strategies? It's really something you should ask yourself. If you have like multiple campaigns that have the same target and the same bid strategy, it might be useful for you to merge those bid strategies in one bid strategy. For example, you can then set a max CPC. That's super useful if you are paying really high CPCs. You can really stop Google from paying, let's say, $50 for a click when you don't want to. Really something helpful. Are your campaigns limited by budget? If you're making your targets, you might want to increase your budget. If you're not, something else might be going on. I have like a separate optimization checklist as well to really deep dive in that part. Video coming up. Are your budgets in line with what you're currently spending? Maybe you're overspending, maybe you're underspending. Make sure your budgets are okay. For example, if you have a huge budget and you're not spending your budget, sometimes it can happen that when Google then suddenly makes its ROAS, it can overspend. And if you allow it, things can go really quickly. Make sure to monitor those budgets. Also, the budget distribution between campaigns. That means that the right campaigns have the right budgets. If you have like campaigns that are performing super well, you're really happy with them, make sure they have like enough budget. And your underperforming campaigns, you might want to restrict those a bit with a lower budget. Does it make sense for you to use shared budget? I'm not really a fan of them personally, but it is something that you can use. So you can set like one budget for all campaigns at once or for a certain subset of campaigns. So let's say you have like a few campaigns targeting the same product category and you have like a budget for that category, then you can have all those campaigns running on the same budget. Pretty useful. Sorry. Then there are some overall performance things that are also worth looking into. When auditing an account, check if you're making your targets. If not, then probably some campaigns are underperforming or overperforming. Really good to zoom out every once in a while and just check your account on a broad level. We have like reports or dashboards. I really like to create separate dashboards for each account, so that we have like a close eye on the most important KPIs. I tend to use Looker Studio. I'm just gonna put that in here. Looker Studio is easy to link to Google Ads. Also, these are some general accounting. So do we have like certain times or days that are under or overperforming? Then you can include or exclude based on what you see. Do we have break-even targets or calculations? This is kind of linked to if the account goals are defined clearly. You should really know what your break-even part is. You don't want to lose money here. Just make sure you know what your break-even target is, what your break-even ROAS is. I always calculate this for clients, and then we know what we're working towards. Because of course, we should not be breaking even. We should really want to make money using Google Ads. So that's just something to keep a close eye on. Really know your business numbers. So where was I? Oh yeah. So is the account used? Are those targets really optimizing for volumes? Are you really looking for lots of conversions? Are you looking for revenue? Are you looking for profit? Really important. As you probably noticed, I've mentioned this here and I've mentioned this in the overall account goals as well. Really important to know. The performance planner, I don't use it a lot, but it really can help you in defining what an optimum is. Every account should have some exclusions in place as well, guys. You want to make sure your search terms are relevant, you're showing up on the right channels. So ensure you really understand what your exclusion lists are all about. Sometimes when we audit an account, we see really messy lists. Make sure to always keep an overview. For example, you can have some exclusions for think competitor names, irrelevant queries, maybe things you're not even selling, products that are out of stock. It can really be anything. They can also be based on performance. So underperforming search terms, for example, can have their own list. So whenever someone is in the account, they can immediately understand why you excluded certain things. Also, you have those lists, of course, but you can also do exclusions on campaign level. You can do them at group level. There are lots of options there. It can get messy when you're using lists and when you're then also running exclusions on an account or maybe even at group level. So really try to keep an overview here. Really important. You can also use placement exclusion lists. Think a list for YouTube channels that are irrelevant, kids YouTube channels for example, and you can also exclude those. I think the main thing here is to keep an overview and know that your exclusions are always on point. Then we have like the audiences within a Google Ads account. I'm just going to run through them quickly. Do we have like customer match data? If not, use it. Really helpful for the algorithm. You can also auto update it so you don't have to manually refresh those lists every once in a while. Are your GA4 audiences working? You can easily see this in the audiences overview. Are you using the remarketing tag? And are you passing on the right data? Also have this dynamic remarketing file linked here for you guys. Really helpful. This can really help you in seeing if your dynamic remarketing actually works, and if it does, what it's supposed to do. Which is obviously showing people a product that they already interacted with before. Did you add all other audiences? Are you using custom audiences? I find this really helpful as an experiment, so you can create audience for, let's say, competitor names or your best performing keywords, and Google will then show your ads to the people that have those queries in their search history. Also, check the performance. If you see any hugely overspending audiences, you can always exclude them. I really try to not exclude too much audiences because people can shift from one audience to another. So it can be that an audience performs well in a certain time and then it doesn't later. So this is something also to be careful about. Then for the ads and the content part, also really important. Are you telling people what you should be telling them? I have linked a file here for writing of ad copy. Make sure to check that, guys. So are you using ad customizers? For example, keyword insertion, it can really boost how relevant your ads are. Make sure that you know how much ads you have in each ad group. It really makes no sense having 20 ads in a certain ad group. Sometimes I still see ETAs. So this is an ad type that Google doesn't use anymore. Sometimes I still see good performing ones actually. You can always check it. You can't change them anymore, so it's probably better to pause them. Then also, do you have like specific headlines? Not gonna dive in too deep as I'm already on nearly 28 minutes here. Just read through this file guide. Are your ads appealing when you use visual formats? Really something to think about. You should really know what the call to action is and what a clear message is. Really try to stay away from super general, broad headlines. Also, are you using all extensions that you should? This can really boost your CTR. Also use those power word guys. Make sure you have like really good ad copy. Very important. These are all obvious things. Just make sure that your campaigns have the right extensions. Now I'm gonna dive in some specifics here. So we have like search campaigns, we have shopping campaigns, PMax campaigns, and for all those campaigns, there are some things that you can definitely check to see if your account is set up for success. When you're running branded search, make sure you have a high impression share here. Also, are you running ads for your entire inventory? Something might be missing here. Maybe your company added a new service or a new product type or a category, and it's missing from your campaign, then you can always add it. Also, search terms relevant, really important. You should only advertise for things that are actually relevant for your business. You can use an n-gram in a bit. I'll tell you about it. You have like keywords and ads everywhere. How is your quality score? We also have a script for this coming up in a bit at the end of the video. If you're looking at your quality score, make sure to check which part of your quality score shows signs of improvement, and then you can work towards it. I'm not going to really do this video and go all about quality score. Maybe I'll do that in a separate video later. Also check how your match types are performing. Maybe your broad match is underperforming, then you can consider maybe pausing it or that could also go for another match type, of course. Are you using keyword URLs? If so, are they making sense? Something that's definitely overlooked sometimes. Also an important one. Oh, I see there's like a duplicate here. Let me just quickly remove the duplicate. Is your branded excluded from non-branded? See this happening a lot. Your non-branded campaigns should be non-branded. Exclude that brand name, guys, if it makes sense for your business. For shopping campaigns, also make sure your systems are relevant. Obviously, are all your listing groups filled? Sometimes things change in your feed and you have like a certain segmentation, and then one day it doesn't work anymore because something changed in your feed. So really keep a close eye on that feed, and if all your listing groups are still serving the right products. Are you using priorities? Also something to check. You can set low, high, medium, and that has an influence in which campaign gets the impression first. So how are they segmented? Make sure you always understand how your campaigns are segmented. Sometimes segmentations are set up one time and then they're forgotten. So this should really be checked every once in a while. Also here, branded, non-branded. Are all products included in shopping? If not, why not? If you build like a certain segmentation, make sure all your products are included. I always like to use like a separate campaign with all products in it, no segmentation, on a manual CPC, on a really low bid. It can really help you get some cheap clicks in. For PMAX, obviously there's lots of things you can do here. We already discussed that report that shows you where your ads are showing. Again, check that product segmentation guide. Is your brand name excluded in PMAX? Should it be? My personal opinion, it should be most of the times. I would personally nearly always exclude brand name. Do you have like any other exclusions? Sometimes other negative lists are also added to PMAX, and then they're forgotten about. So make sure to understand what's happening there. Are you using URL expansion? That means that you're basically letting PMAX decide where it takes your clicks. Something to be careful with, but then again, worth an experiment. Also check the relevance of your matches here. You can't really get the exact search term insights, but you can get search categories. We use a script for this. Really check my growth script here. My growth scripts are really useful. I also link them below. For the visual campaigns, so then we had the shopping, the search, and the PMAX. Then you also have like the visual. I kind of merged these in one to keep like a clear overview for you guys. So make sure your audience you added are actually suitable. Sometimes we see really small audiences with less than 1,000 people in it. That just doesn't work. Google really needs like a minimum 1,000 people. Of course, the bigger the better. But really make sure that your accounts are suitable. Your audiences are suitable. Is there any overlap? Sometimes we see that people segment their campaign based on audiences, and then all those audiences have the same people in it, which kind of makes the segmentation useless. If you're running remarketing, you really need to set up display. Need to turn off display expansion, because basically it allows Google to go beyond your audience. Look for lookalikes, and then it's not remarketing anymore. Then again, run a placement report, guys. See where your ads are showing. Also optimize for the right YouTube channels. Sometimes you have lots of kids channels in your account. Most of the times it wasted money, but that's something for you to decide. Then again, check your exclusions, and if your ad groups are segmented by audiences. Then moving on to experiments. When you're auditing an account, you always want to check, like, hey, are we running experiments? Should we? Maybe we should, maybe we shouldn't. Added a list of possible experiments here for you. Also create a separate video about it. Just make sure to understand which experiments actually worked. And also check if they were statistically significant. Really running experiments for 2 days and then applying it is probably not going to give you anything meaningful or any statistically relevant data. The monitoring part. This is where I become like a huge fan. So I linked all my favorite scripts here. I created a separate video about it as well. Where you can see us using scripts, reading them, and just make sure to have like some sort of monitoring in place. This is kind of for the basics. So I have like a few rules we set up. These three are rules. You can easily create them in the interface, and they'll just send you an email whenever, let's say this rule says, whenever a campaign is limited by budget. Let's say you're running a sale, it's Black Friday, and your campaign is limited by budget. You really want to know right away so you can increase those budgets, guys. If your performance allows it, of course. So how this goes, like you can also create a rule that says, shoot me an email, notify me when a campaign has reached a certain threshold of impressions. So let's say a campaign was running and then it shut down because of whatever reason. You want to be notified so you can see what happens. So this goes for impressions. Let's say your campaign isn't serving, but also for conversions. If you're not capturing conversions, your conversion tracking might be messed up. Then you really want to know right away. So I'm not going to run through all the script here. I'm just going to provide like a basic overview. Like if you're running a DSA, you might want to exclude all the keywords that are on your account. So the DSA goes after new queries that you're not capturing. Branded shopping script. See, I still have to link this. There are multiple online actually. So when you create like a branded shopping, that means that you run a shopping campaign for your brand name only. In search, you can obviously set your brand name as a keyword, but in shopping it works the other way around, and you have to exclude everything that's not your brand name. Obviously, you wanna automate this. Product disapproval script. This is for Google Shopping. If your products are disapproved, really check out the scripts on Niels Roymans. He's like a scripting legend. Then you really want to get notified. PMAX script, I already said it. Make sure to check out my growth scripts here. It gives like an easy overview of what your PMAX campaign is doing. Is it running on search? Is it running on shopping, YouTube, whatever? And how is the performance throughout those different channels? For your Ngram and your search terms, there are actually two scripts I mentioned here. Ngram that does an analysis of your search terms, because sometimes they're all throughout your account. Ngram really gives you an overview per word. So all the one-word queries, 2-word queries, 3-word queries, etc. All summarized. So then you can see like, hey, if a certain query, let's say a competitor name, is underperforming, then you might want to exclude it. This really saves time, guys. In the trending search terms, that's actually one I see I haven't linked yet. That just shows like which search terms are trending week on week and year on year. Also can help you understand search intent. Quality score tracker is one that shows your quality score throughout the account, all summarized in one useful overview. Can help you when you're optimizing for certain level of quality score, or when you're trying to see like, hey, are my optimizations leading to a higher quality score? For example, you have like a certain landing page optimization you've done, or a certain change in your ad, and now you want to know, is my ad relevance going up? Something you can check here. Change history script, really useful. If some change happens in your account, let's say someone else changes something, or maybe an auto applied recommendation changes something, which you should have turned off by now, then change history script will send you an email. Flow Boost, also make sure to check out those guys. They have like a labelizer tool, really helpful to segment your campaigns based on performance. Goes for shopping and PMAX. Link checker, also you should really have this. This just checks the links from your ads and sends you an email whenever something is off. PMAX query checker, also useful, but then again, this is also in my growth script, and that kind of shows you like, hey, what sort of queries, search categories is my PMAX showing up for? Monitoring, really love it. It has helped me like numerous of times in flagging errors in accounts. Super helpful. Then lastly, as I'm of course in the Netherlands, we're in Europe, and we kind of have some strict cookie laws here. We should have consent mode. So this is something you want to check, like, hey, is your cookie banner actually doing what it is supposed to do? Sometimes there are cookie banners that aren't actually working. So that means that cookies can be placed without consent. Something you really want to check. Your account can get flagged. All sorts of bad things might happen. And also want to check on your consent mode, see if it's set up. Okay. That was it, guys. So I hope this was really helpful for you. These are all the things that we check whenever we audit an account, and it really provides an overview of the state of an account, and the possibilities that there still are to scale it, and also how to find optimizations and find things that should be different. Really hope this was helpful to you. Make sure to check us out. My name is Martinique. Follow me on LinkedIn. We're an agency. We're called Exclusions. It will be in this document, of course, so that you can find us. Really hope this was helpful for you. Make sure to reach out if you have like any comments, or you want to know something regarding Google Ads, you need help with Google Ads. We really help accounts grow as fast as they can. We've helped 50 brands thus far in scaling their Google Ads. And we really love doing this. We're senior only, so we only work with experienced Google Ads experts. That was it, guys. Hope it was helpful. Thanks.